Hello and welcome to Epics, and more specifically this little corner of the Deneith area. We're sitting here out of the way of all the hustle and bustle with our bear next to us. She's given up on me for now, gone to sleep, but she's with a this is one of her characters that she's brought out of the hardcore, because unlike myself, our bear does like the hardcore side of the game. This is a caster cleric. She's a couple of levels higher than I am, and she's been doing really well. Only, I think it might be her first life actually, or second at most, and she's basically been doing all the healing and the AoE damage on the stuff that's been grouped around me. We've done, as you can see, I've literally only done the Borderlands chain, and I had to go and do my old trick, didn't I? Set Reaper 4 with a bit of extra confidence because I had the bear in there with me, and of course we both got torched in the borders. Of course we did. Oops, sit down. So we ran the rest of the borders on Reaper 2, and we were pretty comfortable doing that. Got some nice Reaper XP out of it, so that was good. She asked me how many Reaper points I had. I said I had a quick look. I mentioned, oh, I've only got 32. She says, oh, shut up. I think the bear, well, it's a first life character. I think she's doing quite well actually. She has already 10 or more. So on her first life, oh, she's listening. She's just muted for now. So she has 11 Reaper points already. Now, when I think back to when Reaper first came out, and I was messing about on my Warlock build, it took me ages to earn those first 10 on Reaper 1, and I was dying and dying and dying. Of course, it's been made a little bit easier since, with the in-between battle healing thing taken away, so you can heal normally as long as you're not in combat, and also the ability to go in on a higher level than the base level of the quest. I think you had to respect the base level of the quest, so if you wanted to do like Salt Marsh on Reaper, you had to be level 3 going in there, which I bet would be tough. UMD is still a real pain. I bet once we got to the cap it would be easier, but I don't regret investing points into it, and we can just about now, if we cheat with these goggles of persuasion and put greater heroism on, we can just about manage to teleport to places. I think we get, I'll show you, we get 70% there. Same for Raise Dead scrolls, so if the worst happened I could jib us up and use that, hopefully, to rescue a situation. I don't know what's happening with this. Oh, it's telling me now 90%. For some reason when I hover over there it won't display a percent. So we've got a 90% on the Scrolls of Fire Shield. That's not terrible. Probably worth investing in it just for that. And the restoration as well, 90. But that's with swapping the glasses, which in a tough situation I would never have the presence of mind to do. Let's have a little look at the gear. We've changed a little bit since reaching the cap. My epic crocodile tooth. Now, whilst we don't get the benefit of crippling, because one of you did mention it's only on ranged weapons that effect goes off, the rest of it is awesome for us. Armor piercing, brilliant. We are totally into fort bypass, with the attacks from the bird bypassing 50% of the enemy fortification. So now that we've got that going as well, that's very nice. We could say that's 65, and then you can add on the newly acquired precision. which was meant to be taken at 3, but we had to put magical training in so we wouldn't destroy our quarterstaff, because I did have an experience I would like to have avoided when I forgot to apply the force imbue or shadow imbue, and the staff lasted about half the quest and smashed in bits, and so did I. So not good. So yes, I went to the Fred in Jurassico, changed the magical training out for precision, so that's great. That's another 25%. So against a boss target now, we could be getting rid of 90% of the fort if we attack with the bird, which is pretty awesome, I think. So where are we getting our magical training from? It's coming from the Shadow Dancer tree, because as you might have noticed in a prior episode, I had identified gleefully that there is also Assassinate DC to be had in this tree. So as soon as I'm able, I'll take a couple more in there, and the DDO I'm sure will come in handy at times to have, not least of which because it'll come with another 5 melee power, and I think that's about it. But the DDO and 5 melee power, that's not to be sniffed at. Okay, I interrupted myself. I was doing the gear, wasn't I? So yes, Crocodile Tooth, super. We had a Constitution placeholder in that trinket slot, so I've put a Diamond of Constitution in there. Got that from the Giant Hold vendor. And Sapphire of Defense for a bit of PR and MRR. We're not in a terrible place for those. Robes are capped at 50, so I think we must have something that allows us to go a little bit above that. Is it the part of the family? Does that... No, I'm not quite sure how we're able to go more than 50 wearing robes. Maybe something in the monk trees that's allowing that. I know there's all sorts of tasty stuff that it gives you sort of passively as you level up as a monk. There's some spell resistance here as well. I don't think we have any of that on our gear, so I'm wondering if that's part of the monk things. There's been an awful lot as I've gone through that I haven't paid attention to all of it, because I think I would just get bogged down with various bits and pieces of detail and not enjoy things quite as much, I think. So aside from the weapon itself, which as you know I like to try to equip a suitable weapon that can take sentience for each life that we do with purple, so I just put throwaway filigree in, so the only thing I'm using a sentient kit on is the jewel itself. Managed to get an extra slot open. We're using the Stout Oak walking stick, so we've had to wave goodbye unfortunately to our oh, I wish I could stop this. One of you told me once how to do this. Is it Control and Z or something? I can't. Anyway, we've had to wave goodbye after all this time to our elemental bloom. Now, if any of you are thinking about doing a staff life and have one of those lying around, give it a go. You will not regret it. All the paralyzing and good stuff, just really, really nice. And that body feeder as well at the early levels for the temporary hit points, really good. We've managed to open up an extra slot there, sentient thing, so we've got 5 filigree. Now I went for 3 long shadow for a bit more melee power and a couple of imbue dice for our candle, lighting the candle, and something a bit cheaty on the other 2, a couple of reverberation for another 2 imbue dice. And the things themselves are giving us some help. A bit of melee power, attack and damage, reflex saves for our evasion, and PRR. So it's all useful stuff. It's not like I've just taken it just for the imbue dice. Hopefully the imbue will begin to be more damaging, because it scales with melee power, I think, doesn't it? Does it say that there? Scale with melee power, yes. So what have we gained and what have we lost from the weapon? Obviously we've lost the paralyze, which is a miss. That's a sad one. We've lost one crit range as well. We've gained, as I mentioned, all that sentient stuff, which is nice. The base damage of the weapon is significantly higher. And we have aligned now, so we can bypass any kind of alignment DR. The impact thing would allow us in time to remove the improved critical bludgeoning and choose something else if we're in epics long enough for the 3-day cooldown to allow me to do that, or if we find anything suitably compelling. The felling the oak looks very good. That looks like the equivalent of the Inquisitive's thing where the opponent gets knocked down with no save. And as we are striking through and hitting 2 and sometimes 3 targets in front of us, I hope and believe that will trigger fairly often. Immunity to slippery surfaces. As I am not packing anything for freedom of movement here, note to the bear if you're still listening, if you do have freedom of movement, your friendly monk companion could certainly use it. This will at least keep us out of the troubles, you know, with the purple goo that those dogs drop on the floor and that kind of thing. Or indeed the same thing, you know, in the trap in fact there's a trap with that purple stuff in Chains of Flame, isn't there? I remember. There's also one in the what's the thing in Deneith, the spies in the house on that sloping section, which if you don't have freedom of movement there, it can be an absolute nightmare. Although excuse me, we do have, with our wings, we have a way to kind of zoom out of or through some of the stuff that could cause such issues. We've also lost our augment slot, so we don't have the ruby of the snow peaks anymore. That did an awesome job for us on the way up. Definitely recommend to try that. But I think this will do a nice little job for us. So that's the gear. Let's have a look at the epic destinies. So this is my plan. We need magical training to be able to protect our staff from damage. So my choice was Shadow Dancer, as I mentioned, because we're going to get these assassinate DCs. DDO would be nice. Later perhaps we could, if we've points to spare, reflex saves for our evasion would be great. And yeah, I can't believe we'd get that far, but there is double strike and immune to energy drain is nice too. At the moment we're mostly invested in this. Now this is a completely new tree to me. Obviously I've never done monk, just like what Mike said to me the other day. Never had more than 2 levels of monk on a character. I was just the same for the evasion and the feats, and that was it. So this tree and this playstyle are completely new. We have a mantle here, which by some minor miracle I've managed to remember to toggle on. So that's giving us a bonus to movement speed, which I'm noticing because I had to ask the bear if she had full movement speed. Apparently she does. Now we don't. We only have 21% from these boots. So the monk fast movement coupled with this thing are giving us an insane amount of speed. I'd love to see what it's like at top speed with the 30%. And I'm a big fan, and of the wings too. So that's definitely between the speed, the wings, and the what do they call it, soft fall or something like that. It's quite an immersive experience, the whole thing, and I really like that. We've got Ah, the bear's telling me I already passed the 10 minutes of waffle easily. She gave me a 10-minute limit, and I've run over, and I've I've got a sheet full of things to share here. Hopefully she might allow me to get this done. The next ones in the epics will there'll be a lot less. This is because we're kind of introducing the epic. We have a little heal there, wholeness of spirit. I need to put another point in there to get the cooldown down to a minute and a half, I think. We still just have our two hands. Um, that's a nice one. Strike through and double strike. Great stuff that. So you can see here. Strike through now 150, so every other shot will hit 3 opponents if it's possible. Dance of Flowers, a straight 1W. Now that, you could argue, you could definitely make an argument for just keeping the elemental bloom, the heroic elemental bloom there, because that would have benefited just, from that too, and you'd have kept the paralysing thing. If any of you were wondering and didn't know, there is an epic equivalent of that available from level 26 from the Temple of Elemental Evil chain. Drifting Lotus, monster attack. Now one thing I have noticed, and I'm glad it's come up with the grouping, it's for the first time I did the Borderlands with the bear here, and I was running into issues because she's very good with the AoE damage with the spells. Sometimes things were being cleared before I even got to them, and I suddenly realised I was pressing buttons and nothing was happening because I didn't have the key suddenly to do it. And this is an issue that I have never been aware of up to now, because I've always been the caster of the piece, or let's say a ranged damage dealer that never had anything like this. But he is reliant on hitting and critting opponents to get this key bar to come up, and if he's not doing that, he's kind of hamstrung in terms of what attacks he can use and what special abilities. The Incinerating Wave, the Cauldron, the Drifting Lotus, which is an amazing melee cleave. 5W, big crit threat and multiplier, dealing extra damage. It's huge, and if you can't get that off, you really are, at a disadvantage. So for the first time I've noticed one of the issues. I was wondering if any of you had any other experience similar, on different builds, other melees possibly. The bear mentioned the Warlock. You need to be hitting with the blast to gain depravity to use stuff like the Stanch ability. So that's one. But I'm wondering if any other melees are the same. I mean, obviously, not getting to the opponents first and not leading the count of kills. You probably notice I never look at the this. Oh, I'm not in a quest, am I? I never press X unless by accident, because it's next to one of my bird attacks. I couldn't give a monkey's who kills as long as we win. But when you get to the point where it starts affecting your performance in the quest, you start thinking, oh, I better get my arse in gear here and start hitting some things. So that was definitely something that came to light. Right, moving swiftly onwards. Otto's boxes are on sale at the moment and got mentioned in our little Bear Party Discord thing. And one of the things mentioned and kind of a thing on the forums, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to use this box to get through this life that I don't particularly fancy. Now, I've never used a box and I won't, but I've done something equally, an equivalent, using like Inquisitive and like a mishmash Warlock build to get through lives that I either didn't think I had the gear or didn't Sevi, bed. Excuse the dog. Bed. wasn't up to speed on the play style. So things like Favoured Soul I already mentioned before we did the Favoured Soul life. I cheesed that on an Inquisitive, and although it was a reasonable build, there were certain synergies. The heal was very nice. It wasn't a Favoured Soul, and the experience was nothing like what I had, with Purple, culminating in that epic run up the What Goes Up quest. So if if this little series can at all encourage some of you to try, and broaden your horizons a bit, as I've done a little bit here, then I think that's great, because I think there's a lot to discover, a lot of fun to be had, and what's the worst that can happen? It's a bit of a disaster, and you think, right, I tried the build, I wasn't that keen, I'll go on to try something else. So far, the ones we've tried, I think we've always found a way, and this one in particular, I've learned loads, and it's been fun. I'd heard comments about the monk, oh, there's loads of buttons and this. To me, a bit like the druid or any caster, there can be as many buttons as you decide to put on the bar. To me, I put the essentials on, and that's it. Like here, we've got our 3 bird attacks. We've got this quivering palm thing like an instant kill. Incinerating wave, you've all seen. The healing shot, you've all seen. The tier 5 heal that I keep telling myself to put in. Quick strike, which we've had since day dot. Whirlwind since level 9. This is the newly acquired melee cleave from the Grandmaster tree. Cauldron you're familiar with by now. And that's it for the offense, and just remembering to keep the Deadly Instinct going for our bonus damage and tactical things. So not a complex array of buttons at all. And situation like Reaper pops up, just go for the bird. I did find this Robe of Shadow from the Night Revels event handy for a Night Shield clickable from level 16. This one, 3 charges of 14 minutes. I think that's pretty good, so I won't bother with the shield belt, because that's on my main character, and that's from 21 anyway. Okay, so that's the auto boxes thing. Too long didn't listen. Just give it a go and see what happens. There was a boss. I finished up the heroic side of things in the Wayloon chain, and there was a boss in Friends in Low Places. Well, the end boss, the girl, really surprised me. She came up with this red shield, and whenever she had that, she was completely immune to my damage, and I was quite taken aback. So I sort of wandered around. I think maybe I was hitting her with the incinerating wave, but everything else I was doing was 0. So I had to literally wait until that thing wore off when I could get at her again. I'd never seen that before. Maybe it's just because I've never been in there as a melee, I don't know. Maybe as an Eldritch Knight, I dealt with her with the spells that we had. So I've never come across that. So it's another example of some of the issues that I didn't even realise existed for melees. Speaking of that chain, the Cauldron, I mean, you in almost every quest, if not every one in there, it ends in a mass fight, apart from perhaps Mira. And sitting there in your Cauldron, I can't tell you how good that is. Even the big guy with the chain, with all the howlers, just sat there in the Cauldron, clicked the odd heal, threw the incinerating wave in, put all my AoE cleaves in, and things just died. And it was happy days. Same with the quest that ends with the ladders. I couldn't on my own knock down the ladders, so I just set myself up in the middle, triggered the Cauldron, and nothing could hurt him. So that was great. Key we've already mentioned. 10 minutes, I think I've done a bit of a disaster. Yes, one of you mentioned I could have gone for the bronze dragon scale belt. I don't think I have it, but I do have for 21. I think it's called the Belt of Blind Devotion. Although we do have, it would only give us 2 more wisdom than what is on there at the moment. So maybe I should just leave that for the blurry and the dodge. Blurry is kind of an extra layer of defense, isn't it? I don't know. We'll see. I'm a bit disappointed actually. We ran the Borderlands and got almost no nice loot, so that was a shame. Let's have a word on the capstone, because we haven't mentioned that, have we? In fact, we haven't really mentioned where the enhancements ended up. So, as you might have seen when I was going through this, I've replaced, it's the same cooldown, replaced the Fist of Iron that we were using in there with something on an exactly the same cooldown, this Void Strike. I just decided to try, going up the tree, take that because it's a tier 5. We're going to give it a bit of a road test, see how it goes. It's almost the same thing, except the extra force damage, and on a Vorpal, the enemy is deleted, let's say. I am not sure if that can strike through or not. If it can strike through, that's pretty good, I think. So we'll give it a shot. So 42 in there. The capstone is really nice. So now while we're in our cauldron of flame, big offensive boosts. So you'll see there was all the defense, PRR, MRR and dodge, and you get the capstone and suddenly you get the hit and damage and crit multiplier as well. So I'm beginning to remember to hit that in, like end fights and this kind of thing, and it's been really beneficial, both to survivability and putting the opponents down. Otherwise, that's pretty much as it was. I've kept the helpless damage in here. Maybe it was a bad call because it's meant I couldn't really invest anything in Shintao or Asimar, although I did take the low-hanging healing amp, 1 to hit and damage against evil in there, and I sneaked into the Harper tree for another 1 to hit and damage, and well, I guess that's another 1 to hit and damage from the weapon enhancement, isn't it? So that's the enhancements. Right, I think we've made the poor bear wait for long enough. So let's see what we can do, what mischief we can create in the quest. If I can remember how to do a call on the Discord. Are we good? Is that Annie, can you hear me? Is that working? I think we have some technical difficulties. Testing. I don't think it's working. Me and technology. Testing 1 2. Can you hear me? I don't think she can hear me. Oh, she says she can hear me, but I can't. I'm not hearing anything of her. Have you still muted yourself, Annie, or we're going to try on 2. Maybe we're going to have to do without the voice from the bear, which is probably just as well, because 9 times out of 10 you would just hear the admonishments for various things I'd done wrong. She has some very decent buffs as well. The Holy Aura is very nice for our AC and saves. Oh, I did equip the Epic Dusk Heart, for the death ward area, death ward, although with a cleric you obviously don't need it. So still the same as before. I'm going to try to lead with the incinerating wave. Any kind of big pack cauldron. Must try and get my attacks in before the bear annihilates everything, because that's how we will keep our key going. Bird, as before. That was our big AoE key attack there, the Drifting Lotus is it called. I think that's going to be a mainstay of our faithful bird. Now then, Reaper. Nice shot, nice shot. I made a mess of that. I tried to hit the bird attack and didn't get it right. Thank you. I went for the instant kill there. I got it as well, I think, although it crit me in the process. I wonder if you can do the instant kill thing on the zombies. Okay, now I'm going to have to get across there, aren't I? Nice. Ah, we're out of key, look. So either I'm using too many or I'm not hitting enough stuff. I tend to get lazy with the heals as well, with the bear behind me. That's nice, the implosion. Now, unlike my favoured soul, you'll notice that the bear does make use of the implosion very nicely. I never seem to be able to find a way to work that one in. Now these wizard types, these mini bosses, I wonder if they can be done by the quivering palm, instant killed. It's worth a try. Traps, traps, traps. Try the bird. Okay. Oh, we've got a big one coming. I made a complete mess of that. I've got to stop that. Oh, we did. We birded it. Nice, nice shot. That was a nice one. That was the quivering palm. Now let's try. It's just coming off cooldown. I need to be careful with the key though. Where's the wizard guy? Let's try and one-shot him. I think I missed him, or he's immune. Nice. Oh, we've got a mind flayer on board now. And he's a big fan of the, I think it's the little clickable that you get from is it the madness chain, where you can summon beholders and all these kinds of things. Oh, I've just gone completely the wrong way, sorry. You can, I'm hearing that, speaking of summons, that you can get these wolf whistle things out of the sands chain. And I must say I'm curious about the legendary one of those. I don't think you can instant kill the I don't think you can instant kill the undead, which makes sense. Now this is a big one, and the big ones. I don't think, oh I did have enough to trigger the cauldron. I was thinking I hadn't. Okay. Oh, she's posted it in, yeah, that's it, look, the Shard of Zoriat. It's from one of those, I'm sure it's from one of those madness things. And you can get, there's either a beholder, is it Mind Flayer, like an evil eye type thing, all sorts of stuff, and it can be quite, especially in late heroic, maybe less so going into the epic, but in late heroic can be pretty useful. Have you got stuck any? I think we've lost the bear. She's deep in conversation with her Mind Flayer. I should have taken the opportunity to do this, shouldn't I? Oh, because we have a little heal-like ability from the Grandmaster tree, but it is on a 2-minute cooldown. We can get that down to 90 seconds if we put another point in, which I plan to do. Crikey, look, I'm not even trying to, you know, I'm not using the boost, the wings, and we're just leaving the poor thing behind. I suppose that's the counter, isn't it, for running out of key and not getting there first. The crazy speed that you have. That was the force attack there, did we see? So we know we can't one-shot these folks. Get the bird in. That's nice. Okay. So you can see where before in the quest, I suppose I've got more heavy key attacks now, but where before we were always in the 200 and 300s area, now I'm down below 100 regularly, partly because the bear is doing a lot of the hitting and killing, so I'm not building up as much key, and partly because I'm using more of it. Oh, I did manage to blind the beggar before he went running around. Okay. Thank you. I don't know what's going on with the sound with the Discord, but you've been spared the bear and I bickering anyway. There's a nice spot for a cauldron. Beautiful. I like the animation of the drifting lotus, that big, I suppose it's like the fire and force thing, there's like a pink and a yellow effect that comes up and like a big boom. As mentioned before, the incinerating wave is kind of treated like a spell in some situations. Like when you are raged with that Madstone rage, you can't cast or you can't trigger it. So it feels a bit that way. It's got a touch of the Eldritch Knights about it, this thing. Oh, silly boy. Gross overkill. I should have saved that. Still, did the job. There's nothing more satisfying than struggling away on something and then this ray of light comes in. Now, talking of overkill, that was definitely one.
As you wonder whether the ship is still empty, you hear a shout from the quarterdeck above. Terran Keetuk has arrived.
Made a mistake there as well. I did the bird AoE where the standard thing would have been fine. It's definitely worth just knocking the difficulty up one notch if you can handle it for the Reaper points. I think we're getting about 600 a quest at the moment. Yeah, about 600 a quest, so that's lovely. We'll trigger our... oh, we won't need dodge here, will we? We'll just send the bird against him. Oh, the lag. What the hell? Nice job. And that's kind of how it's been, and that's I mean, contrast that to the that I won't say the struggles, because we were going fairly well, but I hardly even had to think, which is not necessarily a good thing, about throwing the healing thing in, because of all the stuff that was coming in so often from don't exit, Annie, we'll go and get the things. I never go and get the chest in heroic in this, but there are tokens to be had in epic. In fact, I'm going to wait for the bear here because there are some more enemies to be slain here. Yeah, it's like a proper armchair ride when you've got the AoE damage support plus the healing coming in there. Behind. Oh, look at that. Nice. What a way to finish. Showing me the error of my ways. I think I used that spell about once in all my favoured soul time last life, Annie, so you've already outdone me on that one.
The Blood Tide hunted the treasure before you during its raid on the Black Loch. Perhaps you will find a better use for it than they did.
Okay, happy days. I don't know if you can get more than one token. No, maybe not. I thought that was pretty good, wasn't it? We didn't look to be in any bother at any stage, and 600 Reaper points. So very happy at that. What's the tree? The broccoli thing there. What was that? Is that saying need food or something? I've seen that before somewhere. Look for broccoli. I saw the broccoli over the top of the head, but what, you just type in look for broccoli? Unknown command. I can't look for broccoli. What is going on here? The bear's big into her food anyway, so LFB, okay. On that happy note, we will call this one a wrap. Thank you very much as always for looking, and I will speak to you soon. Take care.